I just had an experience. Did you see that? An unofficial member of Conundrums. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Awesome. So, what Americans commonly call the first Thanksgiving was observed by the Pilgrims at Plymouth Plantation sometime between September 21st and November 11th, 1621. Out of the 100 folks who came over on the Mayflower, 50 survived. 50. They survived to see a successful harvest, and you can imagine they were ready to celebrate. 90 Native Americans joined with them, and they did it even though they were very much aware of the dangers in doing so. They had already experienced 100 years of European slave traders coming in and raiding their villages. They'd already had that experience. But you know, the Pilgrims, they had very little. And the Native Americans, they had a lot, and it was their glory to give. Among many of our peoples, says Jacqueline Keller, showing you can give without holding back is the way to earn respect. Among the Dakota, my father's people, they say when asked to give, "Are we not Dakota and alive?" That's what they say. And that's the first Thanksgiving. And it has set the tone for innumerable other stories of Thanksgiving down the years, just like today's story, How Many Days to America. Refugees who have left home because somehow it has been spoiled. Home has been spoiled. And the journey they go on, it is dangerous, it is perilous, but you know, you never let go of the vision of tomorrow comes, and we shall all be free. You never let go of that, and you sing it. And you whisper it, and you write it upon your heart. The journey continues on. Sometimes you are afraid, sometimes you are comforted, sometimes you meet enemies, sometimes you meet friends, friends whose glory is in giving. And it happens. You do get to the other side. You do find a new home. You find a new life. America is all about this: loss, risk, generosity, a new life, and gratitude for it all. But side by side with this vision are losses that have not been balanced out by gains in life, at least not yet, or losses that look to an uncertain future. In neither case are people feeling gratitude, let me tell you. I think, for example, of the Cherokee Nation centered around the North Atlanta suburb of Roswell. In 1829, gold was discovered in Dahlonega, Georgia, and what followed was the nation's first gold rush. Did you know that that was here in Georgia, the nation's first gold rush? Only problem was the lands were owned by the Cherokees. And so the Cherokees had to go. It was 1838. They were forcibly removed by American soldiers enforcing American law passed by Congress and the President. Thousands died on what we know today as the Trail of Tears. It took a broken-hearted people all the way from Georgia, from the southeast, all the way to Tahlequah, Oklahoma, that area. You know what many people today call as Thanksgiving? It's a day of mourning for Native Americans. Their glory was in giving, but what they got back was disease. What they got back was treachery over and over again. A Georgian soldier who participated in the removal would later say, "I have fought in the war between the states and have seen many men shot, but the Cherokee removal, that was the cruelest work I ever did see." This Thanksgiving time is a time of disturbing tensions, of great gratitude, and also great grief. If you are lucky to be celebrating Thanksgiving with family, not everyone is, you may find yourself feeling this tension most intensely this year, and millions of Americans are right there with you. You will gather with family around tables groaning under the weight of all the amazing food and with the murmur of football playing on TVs in the background. But those family members, they voted for a candidate who spun visions of a nation overrun with bad hombres, crossing American borders, infiltrating communities to rob and to kill. There are nearly 60 million refugees around the world. We've never seen numbers as large as these, and no wonder given the fact that there's 15 or so wars being fought around our world, in addition to everything else. And Americans, we could have followed the lead of the Dakota to say, are we not Americans and alive? We could have done that. We could have lived up to the words on the Statue of Liberty. But he talks about extreme vetting. He says, build a wall. And so many people cheered, and he's the one who won. In that moment, when he won, did you feel in some sense that you had just lost America? Yes. Did you feel that America was lost to you? Yes. That home had just been spoiled? The father of the story says, we must leave right now. The father says, we do not think the way they think. Can you relate? Come Thursday, you might find yourself sitting at a family table, and you might find yourself wondering how these people who truly do love you and you truly love them voted the way they did. All the turkey, all the stuffing, all the cranberry, all the pumpkin pie, all that food, drenched with disappointment and confusion and awkwardness and more. What do we do? Just the other day, I was lucky to catch a CBS This Morning interview of Jon Stewart, who used to be the anchor of that great show, The Daily Show. He said things that I want to take into the holidays with me, and perhaps you will take them to the holidays with you because they help. He says, I thought that Donald Trump disqualified himself at numerous points, but there is now this idea that anyone who voted for him has to be defined by the worst of his rhetoric. There are guys, he says, in my neighborhood that I love and respect who are not afraid of Muslims and Mexicans and blacks, but they are afraid of rising insurance premiums. And then Jon Stewart says, in the liberal community, you hate the idea of creating people as a monolith. Don't look at Muslims as a monolith. They are individuals. It would be ignorance. But everybody who voted for Trump is a monolith, is a racist. Now, what do you think about that, Unitarian Universalists? Those are hard words. Those are pretty pointed words to wrestle with, especially right now. Thank you for not throwing anything. Words to wrestle with. Now, let me tell you, they don't make me feel any less anxious or angry or unsafe about what a Trump presidency might bring. I'm reading the news just like you, and I see how he's forming his cabinet. You see those folks he's bringing in? It doesn't make me feel any less anxious or angry or unsafe with what a Trump presidency might bring. But perhaps these words of Jon Stewart's might help us to repair relationships with some of the people we need in our lives. Some of the people we need in our lives, even if I firmly disagreed with how they voted. See what I'm saying? It's about insisting as far as possible, even as you feel unsafe, insisting on staying curious, no matter what. You know, one of my all-time favorite go-to prayers is, stay curious, every moment the mystery unfolds. And I never knew that this prayer, which I wrote years ago, could also speak to the political realities I live in right now. But it does. Stay curious. Every moment, the mystery unfolds. When you're curious, it's harder to be angry, harder to be anxious. You know, Jon Stewart said something else that would be good for us to take into this Thanksgiving time. It's later in the interview, happened to be conducted by Charlie Rose. And Jon Stewart has just pointed out the penchant that liberals these days have for making Trump voters into monoliths. And then he says we have to fight against that. This, Jon Stewart says, is the fight we wage against ourselves and each other because America is not natural. America is tribal. We're fighting against thousands of years of human behavior and history to create something that no one's ever created before. That's what's exceptional about America. And then he says, it ain't easy. America. You know, when America messes up, it just goes big time. It just goes big. That's what America does. Amen. Where are the rest of you? But can you say it like her? Because that was awesome. Amen. That's right. You know, too many people have, listen to this. Too many people have been born into an abusive relationship with this country. Did you hear that? Too many people have been born into an abusive relationship with this country, or the country goes and it picks a bunch of fights, and now we wonder what's next. But we need to remember what Jon Stewart says so perfectly: America is not natural. Now, I don't know what "Let's Make America Great Again" means. I don't know what that means, but let me tell you what I think about "Let's Make America Great." It is a greatness where the most vulnerable among us are lifted up. It is a greatness where we apologize when we make mistakes and we make amends. It is a greatness of a multicultural, multi-ethnic democracy. It is a greatness that says, give me your tired, give me your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shores. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. This is why we dream. Why we dream, and we never stop dreaming. We, who are already here in America, dreaming with people like the Father in today's story, and with the 60 million refugees worldwide, we are saying together, tomorrow comes, and we shall all be free. And we sing it, and we whisper it, and we write it upon our hearts. We never give this dream up, no matter how unnatural it is and no matter how it flies in the face of tribal instincts, which are right now erupting in countries all around the world. We know it. Brexit. Tribal impulses erupting all around our world. Brexit and beyond. But we say with Maya Angelou, when she spoke at the inauguration of President Bill Clinton back in 1993, history, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived, and if faced with courage, need not be lived again. Lift up your eyes upon the day breaking for you. Give birth again to the dream. Women, children, men, take into the palms of your hands, mold it into the shape of your most private need, sculpt it into the image of your most public self. Lift up your hearts. Each new hour holds new chances for new beginnings. Do not be wedded forever to fear. Yoked eternally to brutishness, the horizon leans forward. The horizon leans forward, offering you space to place new steps of change. This Thanksgiving, remember, the horizon leans forward. Be curious about the people that you feel you don't know anymore. Be curious about yourself. It ain't easy, but the work is worth it and worthy. Are we not Americans and alive? Yes. Are we not Americans and alive? Yes. Lift up your eyes upon the day breaking. Tomorrow comes, and we shall all be free. Amen.